Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ro. Let's talk movies. Okay, so I have been sick all week and I've not felt well at all. So this video is a little bit late. I usually like to upload my monthly wrap-ups the day after the month has finished. Obviously, I wasn't able to do that this week, but I have the video here for you today, so I hope you enjoy it. So as you guys know, I uploaded a Spooktober movie list that I was going to be watching during the month of October for Halloween, and I sort of veered off the list a little bit. So I'm going to go through my Spooktober list first and let you guys know which movies I did watch and which ones I didn't and what I watched instead. So the list is A Quiet Place 2, A New Nightmare, The Amityville Horror, Hush, House on Haunted Hill. So on the 7th, I was supposed to watch The Frighteners, but I didn't watch anything because I actually felt really sick. I had a headache, so I went to bed really early and I didn't watch any movies that day. Then on the 8th, When a Stranger Calls, The Ring, The Exorcist, The Forsaken. And so then the next 3 days, I didn't follow the rules of my list. I was supposed to watch Silence of the Lambs, but instead I watched Van Helsing. It just felt like more of a Halloween type movie and I really felt like watching it. I don't know why, but I just had this urge to watch it and I really enjoy that movie. Some people might think it's cheesy or not like it, but I love it, and so I really enjoyed rewatching that because it had been a while. Then on the 13th, I had Friday the 13th Part 2, but because I had recently done a Friday the 13th ranking video and watched them so recent, I decided to go against that and I watched Blade 2, again another movie that I hadn't seen in ages and I really was keen to watch it again. So I was excited that I watched that and it did give me more Halloween vibes just because of the vampires and stuff. I don't know, it just felt more like a Halloween movie. Then on the 14th, I was supposed to watch The House of the Devil, which I really love that movie. I think it's really creepy, but I also didn't feel like watching it and I really wanted to watch 13 Ghosts because it had been a while since I had watched that, so I watched 13 Ghosts instead and truly enjoyed myself watching it. Then Boo! A Madea Halloween, Dracula Dead and Loving It, love that, Psycho, and then on the 18th I was supposed to watch Train to Busan, but instead I watched It Part 1 and 2, so I did 2 movies in one night and I hadn't seen Part 2 since the movies, so I just really wanted to watch these, especially because I had read the book It at the beginning of the month. I just felt like I really wanted to watch the movies, and so I decided to do that. Then I watched the others, Annabelle Creation, Evil Dead. I was supposed to watch Haunt and I kind of regret, that's the one movie I regret not watching during Halloween season because it is such a vibe. But instead of Haunt, I was too scared to watch it, so I decided to watch Urban Legend, which is one of my favorite slasher movies from the 90s and slashers in general. Just really enjoy it, and I've watched it a few times in the last couple of years, but I haven't really concentrated. I'm always doing something else. So this time I really wanted to dedicate my time and watch it properly, and I still think it's such a great slasher movie. So if you haven't seen Urban Legend, give it a go, it's one of my favorites. Then on the 23rd, I was supposed to watch Drag Me to Hell. I did start watching this. I got to about 30 minutes in, maybe 20 minutes in, and I just felt so uncomfortable watching it. It's not like the worst or the scariest movie, and it's not the goriest, but I just wasn't enjoying myself, so I just turned it off and decided to watch TV instead, like a TV series. Then for the rest of the list on the challenge, I actually did. So I watched Hellfest, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Dracula, The Nightmare Before Christmas, Trick or Treat, Hocus Pocus, Halloween 1 and 2, the originals with Jamie Lee Curtis, and Halloween H2O, which is my favorite Halloween sequel since the second one. So I really like those movies. I enjoyed all the movies that I watched for Spooktober, and now let's get into the list of new films that I checked out that month. The first movie I watched that was not on my Spooktober list was Candyman. This is the original one from the 90s. I hadn't seen it in years. I think I only ever watched it once and I was super young when I did, so I wanted to revisit it because I did want to watch the remake, which I did as well. So Candyman was great. I thought it was such a great movie and it was really tense. I gave this one a 3 out of 5. I wish there was a little bit more horror in it. It was very like slow paced, but I guess that's fine because I did really like the acting in it. I thought the acting was good, especially from the lead role. But yeah, I enjoyed this movie, so I still think that it's worth a watch. And then I watched Candyman the remake, and I really enjoyed this one. It's actually not a remake, it's a sequel. So if you're going into it thinking it's going to be exactly the same as the first one, it's not. I also gave the new Candyman 3 stars out of 5, even though I think the original is better than the remake, but it's worth a watch too. Then I watched Cabin Fever, and I got to about an hour in, and then I started forwarding bits because it was just making me super uncomfortable. It was super gory, and if you guys watched recently, I made a video about what I think is my comfort horror subgenres and what I don't like in the subgenres. And one of the things I don't really like is body horror and gore. So this ticked both boxes, and that's probably why I just didn't enjoy it as much. It wasn't a bad movie, but I just didn't really want to watch this. I wasn't enjoying myself, and honestly the acting was not good. So yeah, I just didn't like it. Next, I watched the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is the original one. I had never seen it before, but I've seen the 3D one and the one with Jessica Biel. So I really wanted to watch the original because obviously it's a classic. It's very scary and uncomfortable. Again, I'm not a big fan of like the uncomfortable movies, but because this is a classic, I thought I would give it a go. So I did. I think it was really well made for its time, and I still think it holds up. It was still pretty scary. I will say the dinner scene where the girl's there, it just takes too long. That's such a long scene. It's dragged out and she just screams for like 20 minutes. But again, I think it was good. I still think I like the Jessica Biel one more. But in saying that, I'm probably never going to watch any of them ever again. I think I've seen the Jessica Biel one twice and I've seen the 3D one twice, but yeah, I don't think I'll revisit these. These aren't really my cup of tea. These are more splatter films, even though they are in the slasher subgenre, which is why I could kind of push through, but yeah, it's just not something that I'm that keen on, and it's not a series that I love. Next, I watched Lake Bodom. This is said to be a slasher movie, so because I love slashers, I decided to check it out. It wasn't really, if you're going to call something like Wolf Creek a slasher, then sure, this kind of falls into the same category, but to me, a slasher is a serial killer that goes around and kills a bunch of people, specifically teens most of the time, or college students, and usually wears a mask, but doesn't necessarily have to wear one. This one, just there was not enough killings for it to be a slasher, and so I don't think that I would categorize it as that. I gave this 2.5 stars, and it's mainly for the first half of the movie. I really liked the twist in the middle of the movie. I thought that was really, really smart. I did not see that coming, but then I feel like the last part of the movie should have come a bit earlier. I think that the very, very beginning, so the first third of the movie, was way too slow. It took too long to get into the story. The middle part was fantastic, and then the last part could have been better if the first part was shorter. Then I watched Hellraiser. I had never seen this before, and again, a classic. I knew that I was going to be uncomfortable watching this, but you know what? It wasn't as bad as I thought it was. I actually felt worse watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Hellraiser wasn't what I expected, and if you go into this movie expecting to see a lot of Pinhead, you're not going to get that. Like, he isn't really the main character of this movie, even though he's on the cover, and he's not really that scary. I used to see the picture on the cover of the DVD and freak myself out, and I was like, I'm never going to watch this. But after seeing it, it's actually not too bad. I enjoyed the story. I thought it was a really smart storyline and concept. really creepy bits. I did enjoy it. I do think that the last part of the movie felt a little bit flat for me, even though that's when you see Pinhead more. But I don't know, there was just something about it that felt dated, and I'm kind of glad that they're remaking it. It'll be really interesting to watch the remake. But I gave it 2.5 stars. I think that it was still decent and still worth a watch, especially because it is a classic. Next, I watched Children of the Corn, the original. I only gave this one 2 out of 5 stars. It was okay. I think, again, it dragged a lot at the beginning, very slow paced, but the last 10 minutes were really good. I really enjoyed those. And I still think it's worth a watch because it's a classic, but I don't think it's one of my favorites from Stephen King, and I don't think I will be rewatching it, but I know that there is a remake, so I might give that one a go and see if I like it more. Next, I watched Would You Rather. I gave this one 2.5 stars. I expected it to scare me a little bit more than it did, and I expected to feel like grossed out and uncomfortable more than I did, because I had heard like it was very similar to like Saw or something like that. Like there was people saying that it scared them the way it did with Saw, and Saw was very gory. So I was like kind of not wanting to watch this, but I was really interested in the concept of this movie, so I went in anyway watching it, and it wasn't that bad. Like they don't show too much gore like they do with Saw, so I don't really think it's a great movie. I hated the ending. I didn't like the protagonist. I thought she was just annoying and selfish. So yeah, I wasn't really rooting for her at all through the movie. I really liked the guy. You guys will know who I'm talking about. I really liked the guy that was really nice to her. I think that that's why it pissed me off at the end. But anyway, that's all I'm going to say. And finally, a horror movie I absolutely loved this month. The Haunting, the original The Haunting from 1963. I gave this one 4.5 out of 5. I thought this was really effective, really well made. I loved the tension in this movie, the suspense. I think the acting was great, and there was this one scene with like the door, and the door kind of like caves in. I don't know how to explain it, but it was just so good and it scared me. And it's such an old movie, but it was just such a great movie, and the story is just so good. And so because I loved it so much, I purchased the book that it's based on, which is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, and yeah, I'm really keen to read that, but really enjoyed this movie and definitely think it's worth a watch. There is a remake from the 90s that stars Liam Neeson, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Luke Wilson, and a bunch of other actors that are well known. I enjoyed that one too, but I do think that this original one is my favorite now. Then I watched Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars because there was some of the stories in it that I enjoyed. I think with short stories, it's not always going to give you as much satisfaction as one full story. You're always going to love some more than others. Even though this is like a bunch of short stories within a big story, I just didn't connect with this as much. I think if I was like a teenager, like early teens, or like, well, I wouldn't recommend it for anyone younger than early teens, but if you were an early teenager and you watch this, I think it's a fun movie and it's creepy and there are some scary parts in it, but for me, just didn't really do it for me. I don't think I'm the right age group, and so I didn't love it as much as some people might, but it does have very Halloween vibes, so definitely think it's perfect for the Halloween season, and I still think it's worth a watch. Then I watched House on Haunted Hill from 1959. This is the original one, and I loved it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I really love the 90s one. Obviously, they're both completely different. The base plot of the original is the same as the new one, but they're not the same. And I don't want to say anything to give it away, but I really loved this one. I thought it was very creepy and different, and I don't know, it wasn't scary, like horror scary, the way that the 1999 one is, but I just really loved how this story was told in this one. Obviously this is the original, so there's really no comparison to it because the new one is more of it's a remake, but it's a reimagining of it as well. So this one is completely different besides, like I said, the basic premise. A bunch of people go to this house and they get paid at the end of the night if they stick it through, and yeah, I just thought it was really, really good. I loved the twist. I think that it's a great movie to watch. If you're into classics, give it a go. Then I watched Southbound. I was really expecting to love this one. I liked the idea of this one and the fact that it was a bunch of short stories that kind of connected with each other, but I just didn't connect with them, and I gave it 1 star. I know that's really low, and I think it's one of the lowest stars that I've given. Actually, I think it's the lowest star that I've given this month, but I just didn't love it. The first story was kind of creepy with those things hovering in the air, but then, I don't know, it started to kind of bore me, and there was just some stories that were stupid and I just didn't like them. And to be honest, the last 2 stories, I'm pretty sure I kind of fast forwarded through them because I wasn't interested, and I watched them forwarded. So I don't know if I should give it 1 star considering I didn't really finish it, but because I didn't finish it means I wasn't enjoying myself. So I'm gonna stick by my 1 star rating. I'm sorry. And then on the 21st, I finally got to watch Halloween Kills. And you guys know how I feel about that because I did a whole review about it. So I gave Halloween Kills 1.5 stars. If you guys want to hear me rant about it, I'll link the video down below. Then I watched Tales of Halloween. This is another short story anthology series, and I really did enjoy this one, but I didn't love all the stories, so I only gave this 2 out of 5 stars because I'm pretty sure there was only 2, maybe 3 stories out of the 10 that I actually really liked. So I just thought that more than 2 stars would be a bit too generous considering I wasn't completely a fan of all the stories. I'll read out the stories that I really liked. So Sweet Tooth, I gave 9 out of 10. I really liked that one. That's the very first story. I thought Trick was pretty decent. Grim Grinning Ghost was pretty decent. And the Ransom of Rusty Rex was weird, but kind of like interesting weird. But again, they're Halloween tales, perfect for the season. If you haven't seen it, give it a go. Maybe you'll like it more than I did. And then the last movie that I watched in the month of October is actually not a horror movie, and it is Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds. I watched this with my family and it was on the 31st of October, so I really didn't have a choice to watch this movie. They all just decided to watch it. I was trying to stick to my horror genres this month, but I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was really funny, really cute, cheesy storyline, but I thought it was a lot of fun, and sometimes that's what you want. You want to have some fun and not take life too seriously, and I thought this was really, really great to watch. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars because I enjoyed it a whole bunch, and it was just a really great ending to my month. So now I'm going to tell you guys the TV series that I have watched and am in the middle of watching. So I'm still in the middle of watching Gilmore Girls and Money Heist. I haven't finished those yet. Money Heist, I don't know, I'm not as keen on it as I was with like the first 2 seasons. I don't know, I'm not feeling it as much. And I did finish 4 shows. So I finished Queen's Gambit, which I absolutely loved. I gave that 5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was fantastic and definitely think that it is worth a watch. I also watched 9 Perfect Strangers and finished that. That was okay. I had read the book, so I was really keen to watch the TV series. The book was good, but again, I was kind of disappointed with where it went because I expected it to go a certain way. And when I had heard that it became a TV series, I didn't know how they were going to make it interesting because it's not like a thriller or anything. It's very like domestic drama, and I guess like it can work for TV series, but you probably did expect it to be a thriller and it wasn't. The TV series did have some thriller elements they added in that weren't in the book, so I did like that. And there were some differences in the TV series. I am not sure which one I liked more, probably both on equal ground, but it's okay. Like, give it a go if you want, but if you really want a great Leanne Moriarty series, watch Big Little Lies. That one is fantastic. Then I watched season 3 of You, and I love this show because I absolutely love the first book by Carolyn Kepnes, You. So the first season and the first book are basically the same story, but I still think that you guys should read the book if you haven't, because it's so freaking good and she just writes so well, which is why I continuously keep buying her books. But in saying that, I didn't love the 2 books that she had written after You, so Hidden Bodies and You Love Me. I didn't love them. And season 2 and 3 of the show are completely different to those books, just in case you guys wanted to know. And season 2 and 3 are way better than the books. But I know that Carolyn Kepnes is like an executive producer or something on the show, so she does have say in what goes into the show. So it's still her voice and her vision in the show. So you can skip the books. I still think read the first book. You can skip 2 and 3 if you want and just watch the TV series, because I do think season 2 and 3 of the show is better than the books. Really loved You season 3, and if they're going to continue making them, I'll still watch them because they're so addictive. And I'm cheating a little bit here with the next show because I only just finished it with my dad yesterday, and that is Chapelwaite. This is an adaptation of Stephen King's Jerusalem's Lot short story, so not Salem's Lot. Salem's Lot is after that. This is kind of like a prequel to it, and it's a short story. It's 10 episodes and it stars Adrian Brody, and I really liked this. I thought it was really well made and really great character building, although I do think it was a little bit slow and they probably could have made it like 7 episodes. They didn't need the 10, but I still think it was really fun to watch. And because I had read Salem's Lot, I was really keen to get into this because I also want to watch Salem's Lot, and I will be watching that in the month of November. It is like 3 hours long because it's a mini series, I believe, so I need to kind of prepare myself for that. But I really enjoyed Chapelwaite and I still think that it is worth a watch. Okay, so that's it for the month of October. I watched a lot of movies this month, and I don't know why I thought I could do 2 movies a night. That was a bit too much for me. I struggled a lot. In case you guys didn't know, I have another channel. It's a lifestyle channel, and I also do book reviews and stuff on there. So I read books at the same time as I watched movies and all this stuff. So a lot was going on and I struggled, I won't lie, but because of lockdown, I was able to get a lot done. I had a good month. It was pretty intense. I won't lie. It was an intense month. I did a lot, and I'm going to take it a little bit easier on myself in the month of November and watch movies when I have the time and not push myself to watch one every night. But there you go. This has been a long video. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.